Hey everybody, welcome to the Giants of Backlog podcast. We're the Giants of Backlog. Every 2 weeks we put together a podcast where we play a game of one of our choosing that's on our backlog in an attempt to shorten and one day hopefully completely eliminate our ever-growing backlogs. This week...
It's funny you say that because I just bought a Humble Bundle that has 12 games, so my backlog just grew by 12.
Are they all good teams?
Yeah, are they all on your backlog?
They're all in my backlog now.
What's the worst game of that 12?
I don't even know what they all are.
So then how are they on your backlog?
I bought it. I'm gonna play it. Well, I'm at least gonna try anything I paid for. I don't know if
fair.
I'll beat them.
That's fair.
So our backlogs are any game we've ever paid for. So now our backlog just got a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this week's game is Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. A game that I chose during our last episode. So I will be hosting today. But before we get into Getting Over It, I've got an opener question just to warm us up, guys. So my question is something that Jay and I talked about earlier in the week. What game doesn't exist that you wish existed? Like a genre or a theme that seems like there should be so much potential, but the game that just should blow that genre away and define it doesn't exist. So I'll start. Mine is pirate game. I think that a multiplayer pirate game where you have a ship that has actual loss, right? A game where if your ship sinks, you lose your ship, and maybe not all your upgrades, or maybe all your upgrades, but something along the lines of an MMO, a pirate MMO, or
Kind of like
going nuts, huh?
Sea of Thieves.
No, Sea of Thieves sucks.
Sea of Thieves
That's
has
the
no
issue,
stakes.
right? Sea of
That's what it
Thieves
is.
was the game that we all wanted,
Yeah.
for the pirate genre, but it is the
Skull
exact
and Bones
opposite.
kind of sounds like it's going to be that.
I hope so, because
Sounds like it's gonna come out in the next year or two, actually, from what I heard
Yeah.
recently.
right, because Ubisoft has it's like a $40 million money sink, so they have to get
Yeah,
it
they
out.
release something.
Yeah. They got to get something out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they already built the engine, and Black Flag. That was a genuinely
That's
okay pirate game.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was never that was before multiplayer even.
Right.
But yeah, they could have added in a multiplayer component like you're talking about, and that would have been great. So yeah, if Ubisoft's using that engine, updates it to Unreal 5, hopefully, but probably not, and makes the game you're talking about, I think that there's a market for it. Yeah.
Right.
Black
'cause-
Flag was so popular that every Assassin's Creed since
Yes.
has had a boat that you drive around.
Yeah, and I haven't played
No,
Black
it's,
Flag
no,
yet.
it hasn't.
Well, pretty much you have a boat in every single game from the recent trilogy with AC Valhalla,
Right.
Origins, and Odyssey. They all have boats.
Have you played all three?
I haven't played Origins, but I know there's boats in it though. They all have
I know
some
there's
kind of
boats in
naval combat.
Odyssey. I only got a couple hours into that. I put
Yeah,
too much time into Valhalla.
Yeah. Because I
But
say
Syndicate and Unity did not have boats. And I played those ones. That's before
They
I...
should have had boats.
They should have. That's why they weren't as good as Black Flag. That, among other reasons.
That's the game I want, is a Vikings game that's good and not a huge time waste like Valhalla.
Yeah, that was...
You know, even if it's single player or multiplayer, just building up a war band of Vikings. The closest thing we got is Mountain Blade,
Right.
right?
yeah,
Not
could you
putting a ton
imagine?
of time into that.
Yeah, I love Mountain Blade. Could you imagine a
Viking
third
army.
person Viking army building game in that spirit?
You rise to be Jarl and then King. And
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I think one game that pops in my mind. I don't remember that name. It might just be Ragnarok or something, but it's that first person like multiplayer Viking hack and slash, like kind of like Mountain Blade, but
Are you thinking of Chivalry or Mordhau?
no, it hasn't come out yet. It's in development. It's a more obscure one, but I have it on my wish list. It might just be like Valhalla or something. It might just be like that name, but that looked interesting from like a graphical perspective. Jesus Christ. For those who can't see it in the shot, or maybe you can, my dogs are going at it.
Listeners at home. The other game that I really want, when I was a kid, I played the shit out of the fishing games.
Oh.
Where you could like put your fish in a giant fish tank.
Yeah, I love
your
those.
trophy fish.
Yeah.
And I look at all the fishing games that come out nowadays, and they all look like garbage.
And there's no fish tank in any of them.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I thought was cool in this like metaverse for Oculus is they have like a fishing thing you can do in your own like living room under the ground. So that's a cool concept to build upon, right? Like VR fishing and then creating a collection of those fish.
Because we
That'd
were
be
talking
awesome.
about that, right? We've talked about this before too. A fishing game where it's a base level, it is a fishing game, but also it's an aquarium building game as well.
Oh yeah.
Like, could you imagine, like, you're a fisherman, you're fishing, you catch fish, you put them in your aquarium. There's also like a ticket sales, like RTS component to it. Like I think it would just be really cool, you know? Like, I don't know, maybe it would be too complicated because it's like two types of games in one, but why not, right? Why not
Yeah.
do two things?
There's a lot of games that do a lot more.
Yeah,
Like you
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what was that game we just played with the hands that strangle you?
Inscription.
Inscription.
Oh.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's too complicated to have a fishing game that also segues into a larger builder level. That seems natural.
Yeah, I mean, also as a kid, I played probably 1,000 hours of a game called Carnivores. It wasn't really a good game, but you shot dinosaurs, and then you had a trophy, like Coliseum, where you had like your trophy kills all lined up. You know, you can see the biggest stegosaur you shot, the biggest T-Rex you shot.
Yeah.
Like, just that progression is so addicting. Right?
It gives the game replayability too, because you're trying to one up what you have. Like, same thing. I have the same memories with like old hunting games. Like, man, the one I played forever. I want to say it's Cabela's 04, but I don't think that's right. It might be, but anyway. The trophy room is it's the funnest part of the game. Like, you go through, you play the game, and then you go, every time you shoot something, you go in the trophy room and you're like, wait, I have a doe as my best mule deer? I gotta replay that level, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Or your friends come over and you're like, check out my trophy room.
yeah, look at it. What's the one multiplayer hunting game now? Is it like called The Hunter?
Yeah, that's what I've seen that on Steam.
Does that have a trophy room?
I don't know.
If it doesn't, that's a miss for me. But it probably does, right? I can't imagine it wouldn't.
Paul, is there any game that doesn't exist that you wish?
Yeah, so when they did that Unreal 5 demo with the Matrix, where you're just driving around this like super realistic city, and there's a ton of NPCs on the sidewalk just walking around. Somebody made a mod of that where they made you just basically be Superman.
Yeah,
so you're just
sounds
flying around, and I think that's all it really is you're just like able to fly around this massive city. I just want
They needed more rings in it though.
Yeah, I want somebody to make like a really good Superman game.
Yeah,
where you can do like fly around the city and you can use like these OP abilities like his laser vision and super strength. And
Yeah,
fight
where you
these,
just feel invincible, basically.
feel invincible, but you fight like maybe like massive bosses or like enemies that are like you would like in the Avengers game, right? Like that has like,
Yeah.
a good combat system, but
It has a
something-
really good comment system.
I heard that's what I've heard. Like the game, like the core game is fun. It's just it was built to be a live
yeah,
service game,
Right, and it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I just want a game where you're like you're Superman. You're using like you're able to just fly around the map, open world.
Look, man, they already have the greatest Superman game of all time. Why would they want to tarnish that reputation?
Because they can. But I
They
think a game
definitely
like
can.
that would be really
What
cool.
game's that?
And I hope we
Super Mario 64. If you don't know the story behind that game, it's like one of the worst games of all time and like impossible to beat. Like the flying level is like ridiculously terribly built, and like you can't even get through the rings. Like that's what at least what I've heard. I've never actually played it, but
Yeah, I just think there's a ton of potential there.
Yeah.
The technology seems like maybe it's finally come far enough along to make it realizable. So I hope this generation somebody makes that game.
yeah, even if it's that fan game that they made, I mean,
Yeah, like maybe somebody just takes that and makes
Yeah.
it its own thing.
Yep.
but I
throws
think,
in more villains or whatever, right?
yeah, just like cool boss designs where you can, like, yeah, maybe it's like Spider-Man where you just wreck mobs, which is fun. Like it's like a beat 'em up, but I think
What if you have to fly around the entire world 6 times to generate enough speed to punch them?
generate? No, you fly around the globe to reverse. The
Yes,
spin of
reverse the
Earth
spin of the Earth,
in
exactly.
Reverse time. That'd be cool. Or
1 second or 30 seconds or whatever it is.
yeah, the other kind of game like I've been looking for years, and maybe Genshin Impact is kind of close. Just like a game that's a live service game where, and maybe this is kind of RuneScape for you, but you can just keep coming back to it, put in as much time as you have to do like a quest in 20 minutes, and there's like a meaningful reward that you can use to get a collectible, because like the progression of just building a collection or a base up just over time. I'm looking for like that side game that I can play for 15, 20, maybe 30
Yeah.
minutes, and there's like some meaningful progression, and I can just keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And
by daylight.
yeah, I haven't played that a ton, but I just haven't found that game for me yet.
Well, Genshin Impact's developer just announced their next game, so maybe that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it's like a sci-fi, like tech metal.
Using all that Genshin Impact money to make something else. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's probably gonna be the same concept, right? Of service and mission, like
I like Genshin Impact, like the idea of it. I just don't find the combat very fun.
right.
It's like my gripes with it. It's kind of boring to just spam one element and then switch character
Yeah.
and combo with another element. Like it's cool. It's just I don't find it that fun. But something like that where you can collect a bunch of heroes, like gacha style. Just maybe something with a better combat system.
What about it, like
Your dream
RTS?
games, gacha style.
I like gacha games.
I hate gacha.
I like spinning the wheel.
Like spending money.
Yeah.
He likes games as a
I
service,
will.
microtransact.
But yeah, I think the Superman game or just some kind of live service game. Maybe Sony will make it. That's kind of their plan now, right? They want to get more into live service.
Yeah, games as a service. I don't. Yeah, that's kind of the problem with games industry moving forward. I feel like is that a lot are moving towards monetization, and why can't you just make a good game?
Well,
That's another
like-
thing we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
Like games, I feel like the gaming community requests that games be like super good, like really, really good, but always stay at that $60 price point. I think we should be encouraging studios to put more time, more effort into games, and then make them more expensive.
Yeah, charges $200, but make it
if it's worth it.
Right.
like twice God of War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like we were just talking in the Discord or in text the other week about how Sony's requiring all games to have
Have
an
demos.
hour to 2 hour demo. That makes a ton of sense if you make it so if studios start making games more expensive and make games more make them better, not more
Yeah,
better.
and the average person only has time for like what 2-3 big games a year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's why they push them out at the certain points, right?
right. So why?
Because people are just getting over Elden Ring, so now it's on to the next thing for the summer, right?
Right.
So why not like make it $100 game and make it
Good.
good and grab people's attention for 3 months?
Because that way they charge more money. And I'm not saying everything should be more money, right? But if you start focusing on making really good games without like this price point that it has to be under, then they can spend more time on it. They can put more effort into it. They can stop releasing, the same garbage with a ton of filler. And,
Yeah.
Same formula.
Yeah.
It's interesting about Sony because like when they bought Bungie, they talked about how we want to have them help us get into live service games. And Sony, they made some of like the best games of the last generation. They're all single player, narrative driven games. And think about like a game franchise like Uncharted. Like they put out 5 games, they're all great games, but there's not really anywhere else they can go with that series. Like it's over for Uncharted for the foreseeable future. And even like God of War, Horizon Forbidden West, like yeah, they can make so many games in these franchises, but then they need a break. They can't make money forever off of these single player narrative games. So they buy Bungie to help them make a live service game, and hopefully they can bring like God of War quality to a live service game. And like God of War Destiny, God of War kind of in that vein, that is a live service game that you can just play forever. Like that sounds really cool. So I hope they pull it off.
Not to sound like an idiot, but I know we're all thinking it. What exactly is a live service game?
A live service game?
Yeah.
It's a game that they keep on releasing content like Destiny or
Final Fantasy 14.
what's the one? The Division.
Yeah, The Division is another one. There's so many, like the Avengers. It was supposed to be a live service game, but it's just not. They didn't do it right.
Anthem failed. They shut it down.
Yeah, so like the idea of like Sony combining like their strong storytelling, single player experiences with a live service model, I think that's exciting. I hope it works. Maybe it won't. Maybe it can't mesh, but
Yeah, I think it's a waste of Sony's time and money to go that direction.
I think it's a strategy to try to just keep getting value out of their franchises instead of getting to like where Uncharted 4, like when did that come out, Cradle? 2016?
Yeah, around then.
Yeah, so now it's been 6 years since the last game. They haven't made any money off of Uncharted since 4 and whatever that like spin-off game was with the girls. So
Lost Legacy.
yeah.
So you're saying take their current IPs and turn them into a live service, like a
Live service.
live service. So like
Yeah.
take Uncharted and make a live service Uncharted game.
Take Last of Us and make it live service with gacha elements.
Oh,
Yes.
love that.
You have
Yes.
to pay $3 for more ammo.
Make it pay to win. Oh, I'm out of bullets. Paid 99 cents for a full mag. Yeah, we'll see over the next 5 to 10 years. I'm sure they've said that they want to come out with like 10 live service games by 2025 or something.
That's
So
so many.
hopefully they're good and they're not just like cash grabby.
They're
type
all
games.
cash grabby. That's the problem.
That's
will-
so many.
I don't
How
know.
could they not be?
Yeah, well, I hope one of them is good.
If any of them are good, right? But no, the moment like either you make it pay to win or you make it like
Final Fantasy 14 comes out with an expansion every few years, and people rave about how good it is and how it's like the best like story content in video games.
for 14
Yeah, like what was the expansion that just came out?
and Walker.
Yeah, and that like ended like whatever arc they've been doing. So now they're working on the next expansion. It's gonna be like the start of a new arc, and it's just cool. I don't have time to like play like a grindy MMO though, is the problem. So
Yeah.
Never been a big fan of live service games. I bounced off of the Destiny.
I know, same. That's what a Division, like I bounce off of all.
I either like games that are multiplayer and you can just keep getting better at the core, or games that have an end that I can move on.
Live service games aren't multiplayer? Final Fantasy 14 is not multiplayer?
It is.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Most live service games are multiplayer.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just I don't know. It's interesting to see how it'll evolve with time. The games industry and the monetization of games.
Yeah.
Are we ready for my answer?
Yeah, I guess
I
so.
guess so, if you have to go.
Gotta go.
Yeah, if I have to. Well, Jay already knows the answer to this question for me. The something that we're really missing in the games industry is right here on my shirt, baby.
It's actually
We need a
nice.
good Digimon game. Us Digimon fans have been alive and well since that 1999 anime and have loved every second of the mediocrity, but you know what? It's over. We need a good one. We need something that defines it. I think that I like what they're doing with changing up the gameplay style with Survive. I think that Digimon in a turn-based RPG, but like Fire Emblem-esque or a tactics RPG, is the perfect setting for it. So if I have to make it myself, then I will. But I think that Survive is gonna disappoint more than it's gonna help the franchise, unfortunately. But
People are excited for it.
Who?
I was on the PlayStation subreddit, and like when that last trailer came out that showed the gameplay, there were a ton of comments of like, "Man, this looks way better than I thought."
If they watched not just the trailer, but watched the entire Digicon, they would not be excited.
Yeah.
yeah, what was that about? That like they said there were gonna be no
No
voice acting, and then that whole trailer they just dropped had voice acting in it. So it's like
called
what?
false advertising. It's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
All
They
the CG trailers, every game does this.
yeah, they just have the voice acting for that one scene done, so they push that out there, and then the rest of the game is silent.
That was the entire voice acting.
Yeah, that was the voice acting budget. No, I think it's gonna be bad. But there needs to be a good Digimon game, and I think it should be a turn-based tactical RPG.
You remember my idea for a Digimon game during Digicon?
What was yours?
Digimon MMO, where you spawn in. You
only get one
life.
partner.
You spawn in, you get your partner, and that's who you're stuck with.
Yep.
Could be a good partner, could be a shit partner. Who cares? That's your partner, so you better learn to love it.
Yep, and you have to restart. Yeah, no, I do love that idea. I love that idea too.
I don't like no restarts to get a good partner. Like, you got one shot, or buy a new copy.
Oh, that's it?
That's
good monetization right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's real good monetization.
What was that old Nintendo game, Earthbound? If you like modded your save files or something and you didn't do a good job and the game could tell, you would get to the final boss and the screen would go blank. It would boot you back out to the start menu and your save file would be gone.
Oh my
So you
god.
couldn't beat the
So
game.
you played the whole game, but you couldn't beat it.
The final, yeah.
And then it goes on the backlog.
Yep.
Which is our transition to getting over it. Which our discussion on will probably be shorter than the opener. So when I was looking at reviewing this game to set up the my guide for how to run this episode, I realized this was not a good pick for this podcast. This is probably not a great pick for having like long form, thank you, discussion on. But we're doing it anyway.
We're doing it anyway.
Yeah, it's probably better as just like a live stream where you get frustrated, but whatever, this is what we do. Anyway, so first question we're going to start off with. Who beat it?
These two.
I picked the game.
Jay and Paul did for listeners.
Yeah. Yeah. I picked the game. I have said how much I like hard games, and I just couldn't beat this one. I could not do it. How long was it? How long did it take you guys?
I think around 6 or 7 hours.
It took me 12, but I had played the 2 hours back when it started, so if you take that out, 10 from when I started it this time.
It's really funny because you sent me, or you told me where you were, and it had only been like a few hours, and then you fell far down. And I watched somebody stream this game when it came out, so I was like, oh shit, he was almost at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got up to the
The tower.
radio tower, and I fell down and was stuck down for another 6 hours.
You fell from the radio tower down to the bottom?
Not to the bottom, to the anvil part.
Oh, okay.
And I was stuck on the anvil. I couldn't figure out how to get past the anvil part,
Yeah, the anvil's
but
tough.
now I can.
Yep. I got the least far out of anyone here. I never got past the rocks on the with the oranges.
Never got.
That's the
I
one.
spent about 12 hours on it.
Yeah.
My sessions, as the 2 weeks went on, got shorter and shorter. Game's frustrating.
Oh yeah.
It
I got
is.
obsessed with this game.
What are
I
you
was-
talking about? You played for 4 hours.
No, I played for 4 hours like the first night, and then I stayed home from work the next game because I'm like, I gotta play until I beat this.
What?
You beat it in 4
You
hours.
took a day off for this game?
Yeah, I took a day off of work to beat this game. Well, I beat it like the morning of the day I took off from work.
What's funny? You had the same kind of reaction, right, Jay?
Yeah, I was at work and I was just thinking about playing the game all day, and I was like, I can't wait to get home and beat this part, and it was addicting to me, you know.
Yeah.
To keep on going, keep on swinging the hammer until your willpower overcame the obstacle.
Yeah, I had, I think, the opposite reaction to it as you guys. So what I really like about like hard games is you spend, say, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on a part, and when you finally beat it, it's beat, right? The whole premise of this game is that's not the case, right? The whole premise is when you fall, you lose all your progress. There is no
Checkpoint.
there's no checkpoint. When you close the game, you are saved right where you are. So, like,
Yep, so then you can open the
thinking
game
about the
and then
quote that he
immediately
says.
push yourself even further down.
what? Oh yeah,
You
He-
could.
There's a voice line too where he says like, "Don't worry, I'll always save your progress, even after you fall."
right.
Yeah, I opened the game once, and like the day before, I was just sitting on the anvil, and then I opened it, and I loaded in with my guy falling through the air like straight sideways, and I fell all the way back to the tutorial section. And
How
I was
did you
like,
open
"Oh,"
the game again?
And then I kept going.
No, John, I got to the point where I was happy when I fell. Because falling was just falling back somewhere that was familiar, that had already been, that I had already conquered. And then after a certain point, it's like, oh, I can get back to where I was really quick because I've done it 60 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I got somewhere new, it was like, oh shit, I haven't been practicing here. Now it's scary. Now it's real again.
Yeah, I am very interested. Good deal.
Feel bad if you win.
You feel bad if you win?
That's
You
a
will.
quote he says. He says, I put this snake here in case you don't want to win. You'll feel bad if you do.
I was so scared of the snake, that's where I stopped. And
So
never
you're
got
close.
past
You
it.
were
Nope,
close.
never got past it. I hopped I got to that jump a million times, but 8 actual attempts at the jump to the ridge, and I never could get it.
The bucket jump?
Yeah.
Bucket jump was hard.
Yep. So,
So
I
I
never
didn't
did it.
realize with the bucket jump, I thought like once you got your hammer on it, it was like stuck to it. But that was not the case, I found out. Because I thought the bucket jump was going to be easy.
Oh, you hit the bucket and it swings.
Yeah, and it moves like crazy.
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna lose all this progress or even progress any further because it just wasn't happening.
Yeah,
I had done 18 hours at that point, so
Yeah,
I was good.
like I said, I started the game, and my first few sessions over the first few days were like 2 hours, 3 hours. You know, getting really good, getting all the way to the security camera, and then once I got good at that, I'd get to the rocks, and I would just fail the rocks over and over again, right? And finally, not finally, but the frustration over time just started happening where I would open the game, I'd play for like, instead of 2 hours, I'd play for an hour. Instead of an hour, I'd play for 30 minutes. Instead of 30 minutes, I'd play for 15 minutes. And by then, I'm like opening it, failing once, like, nope, turn it off, done for today.
Yeah, same.
Actually, right before I came here, I had like 15 minutes to kill, so
Shut up.
I opened it up. I didn't beat it. I got up to the bucket part, and I fell from the bucket down to the
Anvil again.
no, the rocks.
Oh,
Is the
Where
rocks
you're
orange
stuck.
hell?
And then I got
Yeah.
back up to it, and then I left. But it's more muscle memory than anything. Like once
Yeah.
you do it, and it's like
I would disagree with that too, though, because there were some times where I was doing the exact same thing and having completely different results.
maybe not. You watch these speedrunners and their bucket doesn't even touch the ground. They're
Yeah.
just hopping on the
Mm-hmm.
hammer the entire way. You know, it's really
Yeah.
cool to watch.
Yeah, the speedruns of this game are insanity.
I started practicing a couple of like the speedrun skips. Like you can use the satellite dish to skip the slide. I never did it consistently, but I did it a couple times. You just gotta figure out the physics and swing that hammer just right.
So that leads into the next concept. I want to talk about the mechanics of the game, how the game felt. This game plays like shit. I mean, maybe you guys have a different opinion on it.
That was a design choice.
I get that, but man, it doesn't make it more fun.
It felt like shit at the beginning, but now, like everything I fuck up is my fault. Except for the bucket jump. That's just luck. I'm getting it.
So I like you, after I beat it the first time, I climbed back up and I got to the radio tower and I got along the side of it and I jumped up and I swung my hammer over the top of it and I slid down and I got stuck. And then he does a dialogue line where he says, "Oh, tough break. Sometimes that's just how life is. You got the bad ending because it's impossible to recover."
Wait, and
It's scripted.
they
Yeah.
know you can get stuck there.
Yeah.
And they just have a dialogue line.
Yeah, that's the bad ending.
I wish I would have done that.
I thought like if I had gotten this my first playthrough, I would have cried.
I would have gotten that.
I would have thrown my keyboard and mouse.
That's so funny. Like while playtesting it, he gets stuck there, and instead of fixing it, he just adds a dialogue line.
Yeah. Apparently, there's one other piece of terrain you can get stuck on. The shopping cart, maybe. I'm not sure though. But I looked it
I
up.
almost got stuck on there.
I
Yeah.
looked it up. Like you can get stuck on the tower at the end, and I think maybe the shopping cart. It's possible if you do it just right to get stuck.
You get stuck on the tower too.
The radio tower at the end of the game
Like the point, your hammer gets on the
goes
other side.
over the
there's
top
no
of
way.
it, and then you slide down, and there's no way to get back up. I looked it up to see if anybody had done it, and the only videos were like people cheating.
To get off of the
Yeah, they had
Oh.
modded their game to be able to like float or something.
on my fourth time beating it, I went into outer space and then I hit the wrong way off of a meteor
And landed at the tutorial.
And I slowly floated back, and I fell back into gravity and fell all the way down. It was fun stuff.
Did you get scared the first time when you jumped into space?
I think I was streaming it for Gradle the first
Mhm.
time, and I was like, "Whoa, what's happening?"
Yeah.
And I kept telling him, don't push down.
Yeah, so I had, like I had mentioned, I'd watched a streamer beat it like from start to finish when it came out. So like I knew once I didn't even climb to the top of the radio tower. I just got to like the ledge before that, and then I just pogoed up because I knew I'd float. But like that second time, I didn't do that and got stuck. So foresight.
How many times did you guys beat it?
Just once.
Oh, really?
After I got the bad ending, I didn't really play it after that.
Yeah, that's enough of this.
Because I know you beat it in the first 2 days, right? So I was
Yeah,
thinking
you
you
picked
probably
it.
beat it a bunch of times after.
You told me you picked it on Saturday, and then I started playing it Sunday night, and then I beat it Monday morning when I skipped work.
Yeah, and then when he said he beat it, I was at the oranges. I was like, fuck, now I have to actually get past this part.
No, you didn't. It's
You're
not-
right, I didn't.
You don't have to. You don't have to get past oranges. That's basically getting 2 to oranges. Basically the win.
Getting to the oranges.
The anvil.
Yeah, anvil jump is, I think, the hardest jump in the game.
Yeah.
At least it doesn't have like.
The jump before the anvil jump to get up to the anvil is hard too, I think.
Yeah.
At least the anvil jump doesn't have the loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you get to just keep trying.
I still don't have the security camera down. Like, I couldn't do it today.
Oh, that would have been a good idea. I should have played it today. Anyway, what do you guys think of Bennett in the background?
I hated it, and then I loved it.
Yeah, same. I hated it at first. You know, if you
I stopped hearing it
Yes.
for the majority of my playthrough, so that's fine.
There's a dialogue line I remember where I kept falling, and at some point, this was like before I got up to Orange Hell, he says, "I'm just gonna leave you alone for a while now." And then it was silent until I progressed up to like the next scripted dialogue.
Yeah, I didn't mind Bennett at all. I thought it was funny. I thought like him being in the background, just like not cheering against you, but also like telling you like you're not gonna be able to do this I thought it was hilarious the whole way through. I of course missed out on a lot of dialogue because I didn't beat it, but I am interested. Maybe I'll watch a playthrough and see what else he had to say.
Watch Jay play it and tell him to go slow.
I did watch Jay play it. That's the only time I saw the ending.
Yeah, it's funny when you just kind of rocket yourself up the mountain. He never shuts up. He just keeps on talking the entire time because you're going too fast. Just straight all the way. One time I made it up to the bucket in one run, and he was talking for like he wouldn't stop talking. Once I got there, it's just line after line after line.
Does one line interject in the other lines?
No,
Oh.
it waits to finish and then starts the next.
Nice. So it's cued audio.
And it was nice when you don't fall down a lot. You don't have to hear the shitty music that he plays.
The
Feeling
old
bad.
timey.
Feeling bad. Or, what's the one? Climbing on the...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I thought it... Like, the first day you picked it, I played for like 6 hours the next day. And I got addicted, and I thought it was rewarding when you got to a spot you hadn't been to before. And it kept me going because I agreed with a lot of his dialogue where like most obstacles in games are completely artificial. They're meant for you to overcome.
Yeah.
This is the only game that I've played where you're meant to actually not overcome the obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a parent in our sample size of 4, you know, 2 didn't and 2 did. and like every other game we pick, we'll probably all beat.
Only 7% of players on Steam have the achievement for getting over it. So
It's pretty high.
So we're doing pretty good as a group.
50%.
Good job, whole group. Do you guys have any favorite or least favorite sections?
I have a favorite quote.
Hmm.
Hold on, I'm gonna read it. My favorite section was probably the snowman part. Hopping over. Oh, I guess you didn't get that.
Wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good part.
I like my favorite line he says is when you get to the oranges for the first time. He says, "An orange is a sweet, juicy fruit locked inside a bitter peel." That's not how I feel about a challenge. I only want the bitterness. It's coffee. It's grapefruit. It's licorice.
Are
I like-
grapefruits bitter?
I messaged it was like for those who don't know, I'm an accountant and I do taxes. So April 15th, like I was playing this game when we had that deadline and it's hell, and I like resonated so much with that quote. I was like messaging people that quote at work, and I'm like, I just want the bitterness. I just want to feel bad.
My favorite part was the snow wall. Because, like, talk about determination. Like, my hand would be so tired from just, like, okay, we're going. And we had, like, a 15-minute spell where I just kept going up and down the snow wall. And you were like, you can do it, Jay.
Apparently,
So-
you're supposed to take it slow and
That
like, grab
part-
the grips. But
They're invisible.
Mhm.
And that's what's so hard about that part is, like, speedrunners go through that part like this because they know where they all are, but your first time up, like, you're just guessing and just hoping. Yeah, so you just go up and down. And it's pretty easy to fall back down to the bucket jump from that part, too.
Yeah.
Well, all I got left is overall.
I didn't have a favorite part.
Oh,
But
yeah,
my least
sorry.
favorite part was probably the security camera. I think that's where I broke my mouse.
Did you have a favorite quote, Jay?
Yeah, but I don't remember it right now.
Sorry. go
There's a good Abraham Lincoln quote, and then there was one that I just read before I came over, but then I was like, I should write that down, but then I forgot.
Yeah, there's an iced tea quote in there, too. I don't remember what it was. I just remember.
I love how he gave credit to the people who quoted too. He'd say the quote and then just Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Just slow right on the end. So good.
Are you wrapping it up, or are we?
Basically, I mean, I was just gonna ask overall feelings, and then I guess if you guys have any other thing you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about the credits. So I thought it was really neat. I've never seen any credits that were handwritten.
Yeah.
And he wrote it, and he had like a really nice message at the end of it.
Oh,
It
that
was
sounds
just
pretty
like,
nice.
Thank you for playing the game and persevering through what I put you through, basically. And then I don't know if we want to spoil the thing he asked not to spoil, but
I guess not. If he asks not to spoil it.
yeah.
I say spoil it because fuck Bennett, Foddy. You suck.
I felt that way too until I got to the phone booth before the snowman. And then when you get to that point, he says, "It means a lot to me that you've come this far, endured this much. Every wisecrack, every insensitivity, every setback you've forgiven me is a kingly gift you've given me." And he says it in like a kingly voice.
Hmm.
So are we spoiling it or not?
Up to John. It's his episode.
We do say we are a heavy spoiler podcast, which is something I didn't say this episode, but we usually do. I
Mhm.
guess we spoil it?
So he says if you're streaming this, stop
Oh shit, maybe we shouldn't spoil it.
streaming. Yeah, I mean we don't have to
Even
spoil
the streamers aren't supposed to spoil it.
The guy I watched didn't spoil it.
it. Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't be those guys. Maybe I shouldn't be that guy.
Well, it's obviously been spoiled somewhere else, or did Jay
Subscribe.
just write it down?
Subscribe to us on Patreon and we'll spoil it for you.
Yeah.
Patreon only.
Nice. All right, we're not spoiling it.
Okay.
I will find out what it is when I beat the game. But anyway, any other topics you guys want to touch on for this one?
It's like it's. I think a lot of the discussion around this game when it came out was just like I went back and I watched Donkey's video about it, and he was just so terrible. You know? Like he's like, this game's trash, fuck this, and then like closed out of it, right? And I think that maybe some of like the mind share, you know, is just so influenced by those loud voices that reach so many people, you know, where maybe if everybody wasn't like, fuck this game, maybe more people would have finished it, or maybe not as many people would have played it or attempted it, right? You know, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I just like how thoughtful he is in his design, and he does fuck with you. Like, there's this part early in the game where there's a tree that you think, you know, you'll be safe. You can like jump up and you'll hit this tree and you'll be okay. But the tree's not really there.
Yeah.
You go right past it to the beginning.
It's the only, I don't know if it's the only one, but it's the first object that is in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the only one.
I like his commentary. Like, I know you touched on this earlier, but like when you get up to like the bed after the security camera, there's a quote. He says, "Now I know you're most likely watching this on YouTube or Twitch, while some dude with 10 million views does it for you, like a baby bird being fed chewed up food." That's culture too.
Yeah, he definitely is he's kind of a dick. And in his credits, he says, like, I think he's a professor at some school, and this is just a project he made, you know. And it's just because he really liked an old B-tier game called Sexy Hiking.
Yeah.
He made a homage to it. So, I mean, it just seemed to all come from a place of passion, and he wanted it to make it difficult both, like, physically to do, but also difficult mentally. And that's what all of his trash talk, like, adds to it. And that's why it has the psychological horror tag.
Really?
On Steam, yeah. So
It's a good one.
And one thing he says is like each time I would add a obstacle to this game, it would seem impossible. Like I would never get over it, and then I did, and I just kept on designing it that way. It's like eventually I was able to, you know. And so, and in his credits, he called out the first person who ever beat the game, you know, and then he called out the first person who did the speed run. And maybe this is a minor spoiler, but it tells you your time at the end of each run.
Cool.
So you can keep on improving on it. And then if you make a unique name, it'll tell you how many times you've gotten to the top and what your best time was. So it's definitely feeding into that speed run culture.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool game made for a certain type of player, which I wish that was something more game developers didn't make cookie cutter games that are for everyone. Make a game for a target audience who it's going to resonate with and they're going to love it, and for those people it's truly special,
Like niche or like cult, you know, classics.
yeah.
It was interesting to me that I didn't really like Cuphead very much at all. And this game, for some reason, which was more antagonistic and more, you know, difficult, I'll say, to get through, I liked a lot. And I don't know if it was just persevering. I mean, I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and that was my gripe with the dragon battle, is I spent 4 hours on that, but I spent 5 hours on the anvil. So I don't know why I liked this game and I didn't care for Cuphead. It's weird. and vice versa for you.
Yeah, I love Cuphead.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite game we played on this podcast, yet this game pissed me off and I couldn't do it. And I genuinely thought this game, for me, wasn't fun.
No, it was terrible. I was almost not going to be on this podcast, but it's my house, so.
So should we just roll into what we thought about it then?
Yeah, I think so. We can go one at a time. Overall thoughts on it and grades.
We're scoring here.
Score. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go. So I thought I wasn't gonna like this game, but again, just being at work, thinking about wanting to play it, being addicted to it, playing it multiple times after I already beat it, just because my second run took me a half hour, my third one took me 20 minutes, So it's just getting better at the same thing. I've only got 46 more runs to go to get
The golden pot.
The golden pot. But yeah, I liked it. I hated Bennett Foddy at first, and I grew to respect him. And this game gets a solid 8 out of 10 from me.
I can go next. I really appreciated how intentional he was in the design of this game. Like every part of this mountain, I guess it's a mountain.
Of trash, yeah.
It is a pile of trash at some points, but it's all just so intentional and well thought out. There's no filler. There's no parts where you're just, all right, I'm just gonna spend a minute just going over this area. It's like every
Random creeps.
yeah. I appreciated how intentional it was. I liked how he synced up the audio. Like, we didn't talk about music or soundtrack, but like him narrating throughout the whole game, it just pairs so well with the gameplay. He just put a lot of love into this game, and I appreciated that. I hated him until he told me that every time I forgave him, it was a kingly gift. And after that point, I loved him. I relished it. Like, it was relaxing. It was like, we talked about cozy games on a past episode. It became like a cozy game after a while, after I grew numb to falling. And I'm with you, Jay. I also have this scored as an 8 out of 10.
I never heard that line of dialogue, so I guess I never forgave him.
He says it to you right before the snowman.
Well, didn't hear it, so.
You were too enraged.
No, I actually stopped getting dialogue from him. Might have been a bug,
Oh.
because I just never heard dialogue after that. I heard the bats.
The jump scare sequence.
The president.
Yeah. I broke my mouse on this game, ripping it off because it wouldn't go far enough back to get the jump I needed. That being said, I could never figure out the feedback of this game at all. It was not consistent for me from going slow or fast or whatever. So maybe that's just me, but my muscle memory was never triggered to any of these obstacles. Like, every time I failed on the security camera, I had to figure it out again every time, of whether I would swing or jump or whatever. So never really made any progress in terms of being able to overcome any of the obstacles. It took me the exact same amount of time to redo most things. Like, if I fell to the bottom, I would take 3 hours to get back up. Like, that's just what it was. So yeah, and then after I broke my mouse and bought a new one, then I had to figure out the whole mouse sensitivity thing again. So I had to relearn how to play the game. So by that point, I was pretty much just fucking fed up. That by the time I actually got to almost completing it with the bucket, I was like, risk reward here. I fall to the beginning and spend another 12 hours getting to this point, or I just call it. And so I called it. The assets are just ripped from any given store, so I don't think he put a lot of time into actually designing his own game. I think that, yeah, like you said, Paul, everything is meticulous, but at the same time, it's just piled up into a corridor sequence. I mean, he just threw shit on top of each other and said, "Can I get over it?" And if it took him 6 hours to get over it, then he's like, "Okay, I'll keep it like that." And then, so yeah, for me, there's nothing endearing about this game. It's not a cozy game. I didn't learn anything. In fact, yeah, I don't like Bennett Foddy as a person. So if you're listening to this, Bennett Foddy, I don't think you should be a professor. I think you should have that revoked by the university. That being said, you know, the most fun I had on this game, probably the only fun I had on this game, were two moments. The first was when we were all playing together, cycling through. That was enjoyable. That was fun because, yeah, I would fail and I would get to, you know, watch you or Jay do it. And you as John, for those just listening. And then, because Paul didn't want to stick around, he had some other engagements. But yeah, that was the most fun I got out of this game, was not actually playing it and watching Jay. So, you know, he can gripe about the people who are just watching people play his game, but at the same time, if that's the only enjoyment I'm getting out of your game, then your game is pretty terrible. So I give it a 2 out of 10.
Let us know in the comments if you want to see Alec stream this game.
I will.
For me,
Join our Patreon.
join our Patreon.
Join our
and
Patreon.
We'll stream this game
It better be a high tier.
alone. Just stream it alone.
Yeah, locked room.
Locked room, you have nothing to do.
Yeah.
But playing, getting over.
Yeah, just-
We'll drop off meals through a slot in the door.
Mm-hmm. For
So
18 hours straight.
you're an 18-hour stream. You hear that?
An 18-hour stream, wow.
That's how long it'll take me to get back to the point that I'm at.
So for me, I'm closer to Alec than I am to you guys. For me, it was playable, but like I said before, the feeling of loss in this game, I understand it. It's what the game was designed around. I didn't think it was a fun mechanic. It might have been a well implemented mechanic, but I don't think it was, for me, fun. I have played games in the past, not like because of difficulty, but just because I had no passion for them, where I'd play for an hour and turn it off and not want to open it back up. This wasn't one of those, so it's not going to get like a 0. But for me, I just didn't think the main mechanic of the game was a fun mechanic, and therefore I scored a 4 out of 10.
Did you end up playing it on mouse?
Yeah.
Okay.
I also went away on a work trip.
I know,
3 days,
that's what I was
and I
referring to.
bought it on my iPad, and I played it on iPad for a while, and that also, well, that was worse.
I got
Those words.
I played it on mobile too. I got to the bucket. I could not do the bucket jump on my phone though.
Sick.
Sick.
Paul just likes torture games, though. He does. He loves the Souls games. Every single one of them. He just loves getting his ass kicked in.
I just love the feeling of being frustrated.
Yeah. Not I.
Yeah, but you do.
I do.
Like, you'd
Not
probably
to
like the
this
Souls
extent.
games.
So I will beat this game. I'm going to chip away at it over time, and I will beat this game.
But you said your sessions are getting shorter and shorter. So.
Yeah, but that was me playing every day.
Mm.
Now that I've taken, or not, once I take some time off, then maybe I can put 3 hours into it again and get pretty good, and then maybe not play for a few days, and then do another reasonably length session. Playing every day, yes, I got down to where I'd play one of like 5 minutes and close the thing. I'd be falling through there and exit it.
Yeah, I started saying I'll give this thing 3 attempts. Was like the bare maximum I could fathom.
Yeah. and they'll do that to you. So yeah. Anyway, we're the Giants of Backlog. Our socials are in the comments, probably flashing on the screen right now. Next pick goes to
Is it me?
Alec.
Yeah, it is me. Okay, so I was like trying to figure out exactly which one I would pick. So we saw The Batman in the movie theater together, and that was a really good movie, and it's been making me hanker a little bit of Batman in my life. And it's been a long time since I played the Arkham series, and I think hands down the best Batman game of all time is Batman Arkham City. So that is my next pick. But if you have the time, I highly recommend playing Batman Arkham Asylum, because that's where it starts, and it kind of it leads both story-wise and gameplay progression-wise into what made Arkham City so great.
Okay.
Plus, I
Oh.
why are we clapping?
Kids like loud noises.
Oh.
Oh, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I played Arkham Asylum.
I haven't played
Last
Arkham
year.
Asylum. Never played any games from that franchise.
John hasn't either. I didn't think so. Nice. So that'll be a good experience for everyone.
Cool.
Cool. All right. See you in 2 weeks.
Keep
That's
that
a
in,
fact.
Zach.
You say keep that in?
You
Yeah.
with
Oh,
that,
and
Zach?
also edit out all the dog noise.
Yeah.
It should be fine. Like,
I'm
these
just kidding.
eliminate background noise pretty well.
Yeah, it'll be fine.